very well. What's the difference between us and the animals? We are not much different, because at the end of the day, all said and done, the work is done. Corporate America says that you have to have certain amount of milk. Milk is good for you. So you believe it. You says that 16-year-old model selling such and such yogurt is good for you. So you do it. You will, at the end, if you go to,
you will become like that.
right? Yeah. If you go to Hershey Park and listen to that chocolate story of a chocolate, you leave saying that believe that chocolate is the healthiest thing to do.
And dentists will be very happy.
And 2 years later, things change, and they say, no, this is not good for you. Now, at what level is your consciousness? Is your consciousness at the body level? Then you are a slave, because you are slave to your own body. Now, when I say I'm drinking milk because there is plenty of calcium, what am I doing? I am trying to provide calcium for my bones. Bones belong to you. You are slave to your body. You have never risen above the animal level. Animal follows because it doesn't want to be beaten up by the owner. Because if the donkey does not follow the rules, donkey has to be beaten up. The donkey is trying to protect his own body. What are we? We are nothing but a slave. A donkey carrying out the instructions. We are not rising above. So we have choices to make. And yet, we go on following all these instructions. And you know what? That's the cause of the stress. Because we have to follow the instructions, we don't put our heart in it, we don't put your soul in it, we don't do soul searching. So we believe it, but our inside is telling us something else. For a moment, we have a beer, we feel good, we forget about all these instructions. Every single moment is spent in our life following the instructions.
Beer matega?
So these instructions are stressful, and the reason they are stressful because we are following mechanically. But something inside is telling us that we are not meant to be that way. Animals have no problem. At the end of the day, buffalo will be happy as long as he gets X amount of food. He's not hungry anymore. Next day, it is ready to do the same routine again. But we have three existences. The life of a pashu. Pashu is, in Sanskrit, tied. You are tied to something. When you're tied to something, you're living a life of a pashu. Life of a pashu is even worse than the life of a janwar, animal. At least the lion is allowed to express himself. A lion in a cage is not allowed to express himself.
No.
If the lion feels like killing the owner, he cannot do it. He will be beaten up and killed. So, but our life of a pashu was at one time. But we have evolved. We have become a human being. But we are not Buddha yet. At the Buddha level, what happens is, you not only follow the instructions, but you are above the instructions. You are the instructions. Because, like we said, these rules have become your rules. When Buddha says, I don't want to kill, he himself does not want to kill. Not because he has been told by, there was no Buddhism before him, so he could have followed Hinduism, said do not kill. But he's not killing just because he's been told not to kill. Right now, we are caught in between. We are not Buddha, we are not Pashu. But yet, time to time, we drink ourselves. We are not ready to accept the life as it is, and yet we have to accept. And that's why we have stress. And the stress is a roadblock to the samadhi. So we cannot go back to Pashu, but we can become Buddha. The potential is there. All we need to do is change the path of our progress. We have to realize the futility of materialism. And that's what we have been talking about. Eh mere hum nasi, chal kahin aur chal. We have to realize that we have not going to achieve anything in this chaman. In this world, there is nothing to take. There is nothing to leave back. You came with nothing, you're going to go. But all this needs a broader spectrum. The broader spectrum you can have, the view, broader view of the life, only if once in a while you come out of it. And meditation is the time to reflect upon yourself. What have I been doing? What have I achieved so far? With all those pleasurable things, where am I right now? Am I better off than my next door neighbor who has no money but he's always happy? Am I? Am I not? All those things you make you realize. So that's what we want to. So we don't want to get the pashu, but we do that. Whenever we drink ourselves, what happens? We forget those sense of need for following the instructions. So we are happy. And yet, but how long can it last? We would like to stay in that position. And that's why people are so friendly. When they drink, they are so happy. They are so mellow. You know, more friendships are made when you are a beer drinker than you are a spiritual talker. You have a lot of interactions when you want to talk truth to people. There are no takers.
Yeah.
But when you want to talk to someone who likes certain beer or Amstel Light or whatever, all of a sudden you have a room full of people who are your friends.
Yeah.
Now, the same thing is happening. At the Buddha level, Buddha thinks that everybody is his friends. He has no enmity. He has no enemies, right? So he thinks that he is friends with everybody. And literally, his karuna starts flowing. He has no enemy. But the same thing is achieved by the beer drinker because he has so many friends all of a sudden. But you think that it's the same position, but it's not, right? We know that. We have friends because everybody wants to forget all the stresses of life.
There was a beggar, you know, he was
Right.
begging just near temple.
Right, right,
He kept begging, he didn't get anything.
right,
Then he went to the next door beer bar.
right, right.
And everybody who was drunk, he started putting $10,
There you go.
$15. The guy says, man, he says to God, कि तू रहता कहाँ है और पता कहाँ का देता है?
Exactly. Here I'm getting without any effort. Over there I kept her all day long, but nobody gave 5 cents here.
So beer is good for society.
Beer is the best thing to make friends. And that's the reality though.
Connecting.
And that's why we have so many escape routes available. We have so many escape routes available, and more escape routes have to be created because the old ones are no good. So it's been going in circles. We are not going anywhere. All we are doing is finding out some escape routes to forget the stress of life, which has been created by all this set of instructions. And whose fault is that? Is it the society's fault? No. They are doing it for their own purpose, to fill their pockets or whatever. Ultimately, it's all about matter. They may be thinking in a wrong way. You go to all this Char Dham and all these things. What is that? It's all business. There is no God there. If the God would have been there, it would have been here. If the God was there, why would they want 30,000 rupees for Aarti? You tell me, Ushaben, right? Why would they want it? What does God has to do anything with money?
It's a man-made.
Right? But that's what I'm saying. So, but it's because your desire, your pashuta has never been gone. You would rather be a slave and not worry about making decisions. Right from wrong. Why should I steal? Why should I not steal? Our necessity to reflect on ourselves, our capacity to reflect on ourselves is there, but we are afraid to go in that direction because we considering ourselves responsible for making those choices. Did I do the right thing or not? Our ego has evolved only to the point of realizing that we could be the doers. What's the difference between us and the animals? Animal never thinks that they are doers. A lion may make a kill, but you look at the innocence in the eyes of the lion, it's still there. A lion may have made a major kill, but that innocence of an animal who does not know anything else, you can still look at that animal and it's beautiful in its own natural way because he never took the responsibility for doing it. There you go. So the thing
We
is,
are enlightened.
there you go, talk is over. So the thing is, at the inner consciousness level, somewhere there is along the line, we have a problem. That we don't have that innocence of an animal. Our ego has started rising. our self-identification has risen. See, this is how in our own life the synchronization starts, right? They say your life, imaginary number of 70 years, is divided. First 7 years, you have no self-identification. You have no ego. You do whatever your parents tell you. In fact, you're willing to do what your parents tell you to do, because you never find yourself different than your parents. At age 7, you start realizing that you are different than other people. Me and you. That identification starts at the age of 7. From 7 to the 14, now you start finding interest in the external world, and you start deriving interest from the external world. Certain candy starts appealing because now you have a different taste, different desires, and by 14 you start having an interest in opposite sex. So all these things are divided. From 14 to 28, you start fulfilling those desires. From 28 onwards, you start acquiring material pleasures, and your world is pretty much well defined. Till you are 42, it reaches the peak. And then by 49, you should start realizing that this ego has not really taken me anywhere. And then from 49 onwards, spiritually speaking, you start realizing this is futile. And then you start realizing yourself as a self. And then you start getting more and more deeper, and ultimately merge yourself, getting ready for the journey. So that's how all the stages are divided, whether we know it. So we are at a stage of ego. We have realized ourselves, but we are not realizing the broad consciousness yet. We have not reached the Buddhatva yet. So we are considering ourselves responsible for everything we're doing. And that is killing us. That's why we are suffering, because every choice we make and we fail, we consider ourselves responsible. But the animals don't. Animals do everything, and at the end of the day say, this is what I am. Certain criminals who are living in 100% life of animalhood, they have no even sense of responsibility. They are considered outcast from our society. They are behind bars because they committed murders. Now, they might have done out of stupidity for their basic needs or whatever like that, never realizing with an intent to kill, they might have killed or done something stupid. But at that level, still they are closer to animals. Of course, they don't belong in a society, so they are behind bars and all that. But they still, if you look at that certain criminals in their face, you still will see the twinkle of innocence. So at that innocent level, at that Pashu level also, the animal level, there is innocence there. But it's the same innocence you will see in Buddha, who has risen above the materialism. Now, when I don't want anything in my life, why do I have any hatred against you? If I don't want anything from you, nothing but friendship, for me, giving love and expressing my inner joy and inner happiness, because it's flowing out of I will have innocence. If I don't have any reason to steal, why won't I be innocent? So all this comes by realizing our inner true spiritual self. But that's the process that we are in between. So we are caught. So we, at the human level, we're living an artificial life. We cannot live a natural life of animal, and we cannot live the natural life of Buddha, who is also natural. And that's why we have stress. We have total artificial life. There are people who will be following the rules of the society. They will drive on the right side of the road. They will not steal. They will not cheat. They will follow their instructions properly, this and that. But they may have a raging desires in their mind. They may not be able to express. They want all the women of the world. They want every single dollar in the world. But outside, they are nice. They are elected to be some of the most powerful, influential people in the world, because people thought that they were fit to be president, fit to be the governors of New York. All these people were selected thinking that they were great, because that's what we want. We want who do we want us to lead? I put trust in you, thinking that your behavior is such and such and such. So I consider you to be the best person for me, you to lead me. And that's why they are elected. Millions of people put faith in these people. But how little we know. They had raging desires in their mind, and ultimately it came out. Sometimes at the wrong time, at the wrong place, to the wrong person, and all of a sudden, Monica Lewinsky is in the newspaper. So that is not the clarity what we want. So just because you follow the rules and you are respected in the society, you have a very high honor in the society, does not mean you are there yet. It has to be natural behavior. Believe me, people with natural behaviors will never be in politics anyway. Because what is politics for? You are in politics, there is a fierce fight going on to achieve certain point at certain place in the society, because you want something. There you go. To want something, you need desires. Desires is thoughts. Thoughts are anti-samadhi. So a person who have reached to the samadhi level will never be in a politics anyway. But even if you believe that, your expression in this world, politics will not be the first place where people in samadhi would want to be. Maybe. But there may be certain born natural leaders who really truly wants to do something good for the society. They are very few and far in between though, but I'm just saying.
Gandhi.
Right, exactly. Very few. So this society or external reflection of your behavior is not a true internal reflection of your state of mind. That's what I'm trying to say. So a true dharma is something that happens. It is not practiced. And when a dharma needs to be practiced, it's not a dharma. It's artificial. When you behave in such and such and such a way, you are just following the dogma or the set of scriptures, instructions and 10 commandments and this and that and all that. It's just repetition of what somebody has told you. So a true dharma is this sahaj samadhi, is the only true dharma. Dharma is not about making life, comfortable. Fine, you drive on this side of the road. You do not lie or do not this. You will not get into trouble. Government not be looking for you. You will have a happy, comfortable life. But is that what dharma is about? Dharma is truth. The truth comes out only when you inquire. And the truth has to be your truth, not somebody else's truth, right? And these instructions, how does it matter? The instructions change, depends upon where you are. If you had born in African jungle, what do? You wake up in the morning and look for food, you kill a bat or something like that, that's your meal. You're born in America, bacon and eggs, or egg McMuffin, or Starbucks is your first thing you look for. So your normal behavior is defined by your environment. But is that your normal behavior? So instructions change. I was 9-10 years old when I gave up wearing shorts in India. But beyond that, you don't wear, no matter how hot and humid it is. Maybe now it's different, but you don't wear shorts. All of a sudden here in summer you walk around, everybody's walking in sport. So that becomes normal for you. So your behaviors are dictated by the external environment. And there is nothing wrong with that either, because you don't want to rebel against the society. But that's not the end. Ultimate goal of your life, which is a very precious life given to us, you want to rise above these things and move on to the spiritual journey. But we think that instructions are the journey, and that's our mistake. Just because you drive on the right side of the road, you don't smoke, that doesn't mean you're going to go to heaven. That does not put you in a heaven. Or you break certain rules, you start smoking or eat pan and it's bad for you, this and that. You little make mistakes here and there. That's not going to put you in a narc either. But people who follow instructions, the leaders, they tell you, oh, you're doing this, that's bad for you. In fact, these are the worst people you should listen to, because they themselves, by doing few good things, even without cleaning up their mind, now they're looking around, this guy's doing this guy doing that. You do not, our Dharma Guru tells you that, oh, I'm fine, you're doing wrong. And that interactions will go on forever. So the idea is not just to follow the instructions mechanically. Question. Go down to the bottom. Stir the whole problem. find out the soul, do the soul searching, and then accept, and not just accept, but rise above. When all these instructions become sahaj for you, that's sahaj samadhi. I guess so much for today.
All right, good.
Okay.
Thank you.